All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a question. Why the hell are 600s so freaking fun to ride? Those of you who ride 600s on the daily, you already know why. But today, I wanted to take a look at this 2008 Yamaha R6 and answer the question, what is this special allure about these bikes that makes them so much fun to ride? So today, I'm going to swing a leg over this 2008 Yamaha R6, have some fun, ride around, and talk about it. And you guys would be forgiven in thinking, Yami, what the hell is this R6? Why do you have this thing? I haven't featured it much on the channel because there was some things going on in the background with it, but it's back now, and this is actually a giveaway motorcycle. Yes, this is our modern classic giveaway, this pristine 2008 Yamaha R6. We recently had to swap out the spark plugs. I just spooned on these new tires on it. It was a bit of a catastrophe there for a while. I couldn't get this bike out on the road, but I spooned on this new rubber, swapped in the spark plugs. I got a couple more parts coming for this thing. I'm going to put on some better brake lines, a new master cylinder, and a clear windscreen because I want to go track test this thing and see how good a bone stock R6 is. But do me a favor, head over to yamanoob.co, become a member, and you'll get entered to win this amazing 2008 Yamaha R6. And this is, truthfully, guys, my favorite vintage of the R6. This exact year, this exact color is the one that I would get if it were me. But let's swing a leg and let's go talk about why 600s are just so freaking fun to ride. Let's get a sound clip. Ooh, quite literally firing on all four cylinders now. Alright, you guys let me know down in the comments below, but I'm just going to say it. I think the R6 is the best sounding 600. Best sounding conventional inline 4. I do think the R1 sounds better, obviously. I love the R1's crossplane sound, but boy almighty, the R6 is so cool. I really like this bike, even though it is a bit of a torture rack to ride, as my buddy Alex from the Champ School would say. Alrighty, folks. Couple revs there for the boys. Gonna try to not speed too much on residential streets, but that's one of the things about 600s that are so fun. They kind of elicit you to ride faster and faster, and at least for me, as a club racer and a guy who really enjoys the 600 class of bikes, that to me is what makes these bikes super fun. They are just a riot to ride, and when you've established a good baseline of skill, these bikes can really reward you, man. You really feel like you're so dialed in and doing all the right things. And on street, for the kind of entry-level intermediate rider, they are just scary enough to where you kind of keep yourself in check with them, you know? Got a 16,000 RPM redline, 128 horsepower. It's the type of bike where, yeah, you got to know what you're doing if you're going to ride it. A super committed riding stance, and it really is a bike that says, hey, if you're going to be riding me, you better at least know a little bit what you're doing, because we're serious business over here. This is a race bike, no doubt about it. But again, for the rider who is more experienced, these bikes are a lot of fun. You can't really use it like you would on track, like you would on street. The potential of the bike is just outrageously high. I've had the privilege of riding several R6s on track, and you know, the level at which you can ride a 600 like this R6 is really damn high, guys. You'll never approach that limit on the street safely. And there's something about the intoxicating sky-high RPMs that makes this just such a joy. And, you know, I've been riding the ZX4RR a lot. I think I've put on like 400 miles on that bike. And coming back on the classic 600 makes me appreciate them so much more. This is a race bike, guys, and it feels like a race bike. And that's really neat. You know, you don't really get the chance to ride something so stiff and so racy all the time. Wow, you don't get to ride something so stiff. Whoa, Yami! Whoa, hey, somebody's gonna take that one out of context. But you guys know what I mean. Come on, don't get it twisted. This is such a unique experience, and again, it's got enough power to where it can still scare you a little bit as a entry-level, intermediate kind of rider. For me personally, the power on the R6 does not scare me in the slightest. I The only thing that happens with me in the R6 as a platform is when I get it on track, I look at the data and I look at the lap times and I'm like, there's so much left in this bike, it's not fair that it can go so fast, and this goober is riding it. Oh my God, that's so good. The R6 in particular has a delicious engine. Oh my goodness, I love this bike, man. Listen to that thing. That's really special. Wow. I mean, it's it's so cool what you can do with these bikes. And I think a lot of people like cosplaying the racer on the street type of thing, you know, and the R6 is a really good platform to do it. Getting some backfire out of the engine there, cruising along here, having some fun. But it's funny, I'm riding about the same speed as I was on the ZX4. I'm barely leading this thing over, and I'm just taking it easy with the bike. Like I said, I got brand new tires on it. I want to scrub it in a little bit before I start railing on this bike a little bit more. But it's really the sensations that 600s give you, man. Like, there's few other sport bikes that give you this kind of sensation. Just so dialed in, so rock solid, so interesting to ride if you're into the sport bike thing, you know? And the power band is just so peaky and just like you want to go searching for it every time you ride. And that's what makes it so interesting, you know? That's what makes it so much fun, in my opinion. I also think we can't really discount the fact that these bikes have a whole lot of sex appeal, you know? When it comes to the fully fared 600 class, you know, motorcycles are emotional purchases, and my God, the 600 class has a lot of emotion attached to it. You see it in the way people talk about R6s in the comments of videos. They always talk about how, oh, you know, like the screaming in line 4, the passion, the pinnacle of performance on a 600. People really love these bikes, man. They really take them to heart, and they really love what they can do. And I think that's what's so special about them. They just got a lot of sex appeal. Use this thing anywhere, dude. But even at slow speeds, you know, it makes you feel like you're really racing around. I think that's the coolest trick that it plays. And that's what makes it so cool. It's so interesting to ride, is because even at slow speeds, you feel like a rock star. You're just like, wow, I'm on this super fast bike. And for a lot of people, the 600 class is their first properly fast motorcycle. There's obviously a lot of dummies out there who will go and buy, you know, a liter bike as their first bike or their second bike, but most people start on something reasonable, and then the 600 is their first fast bike. That was how it was for me. I started on R3, and then I got a Daytona 675. That was my first honest-to-God fast motorcycle, and I couldn't believe how fast it was, and those memories stay with me forever, man. And I think that's the case for a lot of people at the 600 class. A lot of people ride these bikes as their first experience of a big, fast motorcycle, and it never leaves them. The R6 sounds amazing above 12 grand. Like it opens up another cylinder or something. It's just awesome bike, dude. It's been a while since I've ridden this thing. I'm having such a ball. Because I think what can happen is, you know, we ride motorcycles to kind of put different personalities on, right? And I know for me personally, depending on the gear that I'm wearing or the bike that I'm riding, I get very different sensations of what the bike is trying to get me to do. You know, if I put on a dirt bike helmet and I've got a t-shirt on and I'm riding around a supermoto or a scrambler, I feel like a completely different rider than when I'm fully geared up on an R6. You know, it's such a different feeling to ride these bikes when you are like kind of putting on that appearance of who you want to be when you ride them. And yeah, like this peaky power band, you know, you can say that it's bad for the street, and it kind of is, but you can also flip that on its head and say, yeah, but that's what makes it fun. I'm riding it in spite of the fact that it makes this kind of power, you know, in this peaky way. I gotta say, you know, like, yes, an R7 has like better lower down torque, and you know, a more streetable engine makes better torque down low, but all you gotta do is keep this thing on the revs, and holy crap, it pulls pretty hard at the top end. That's what makes it super fun, in my opinion. What's fun too is knowing that you've got such a capable machine to play with, you know? I always like that with the 600 class, is that you ride them and you know that the bike can do way more than what you're doing with it. Now, granted, that doesn't mean it's going to put up with bad inputs or excessive lean angles or bad body position that leads to overloading front or rear tires, or especially a bike like this that doesn't have ABS or traction control. You know, some bad inputs are going to cause the rear to spin out and just do some really wonky stuff. But you know, that's to me what makes it, you want to be a better rider when you ride the R6. You want to be the type of rider that has really precise inputs and that can, you know, ride this thing for a long time on the street if that's what you're into. Me personally, like I said earlier in the video, this is a bit of a torture rack to ride. Very aggressive, committed ergonomics, even using the technique of squeezing the tank, lightening up your hands. It can be done, but for someone with a bad back like myself, not the most ideal place to spend an hour or two at a time. I'd much rather be on some sort of naked bike, I'm going to be totally honest. But, you know, I think a lot of riders, they get a lot of enjoyment out of the fact that they have to work with this motorcycle. It's not going to make everything easy for you, you know? And that can make the experience more fun. It can make it more enjoyable and more interesting to ride a bike like this and know that you have to do that. You have to work with it. You can pile on. So again, a lot of my experience with R6s are on racetracks, and right now I'm like, oh man, this thing can just get it. I know it can just get it, baby. I know we can just go ahead and fly with this thing. I get so much feedback from the chassis. All these little tar snakes and stuff, you feel it on the R6. It's so cool. But we're gonna take it easy, guys. We're not gonna go GP on the street with this thing. That would be such a bad idea. This is one of the most exciting engines in motorcycling, man. What a great sound. This one's got this full pipe on it, full Leo Vinci exhaust. So sick. All right, folks. I think that's going to sum up my thoughts on why these bikes are so much fun. It's a really unique feeling, you know? It's hard to explain. But yeah, like, I've kind of come full circle on 600s. For my beginning riding career, this was my preferred package. My preferred motorcycle was this style. And then I kind of outgrew it. And now I can almost appreciate them for what they are. I still obviously would not want this on the street. Look at that. Look at that handlebar to seat to peg ratio. I mean, it's a tough thing to ride for an hour or two at a time. I'd rather be on something a little more low key. But man, the sex appeal is so high and the RPMs are so high that, I don't know, you're willing to put up with that stuff. And again, this thing obviously belongs on a racetrack, and it is so juicy on a racetrack. Even in stock trim, these R6s are so delicious to ride on track. Put a sticky set of rubber on them, and they are just good to go. So much fun to ride. So yeah, guys, that's going to sum up my thoughts on why the 600 class is so much fun. Leave me a comment down below on why you think you had so much fun riding 600s. If you've ridden other stuff and you've come back to 600s, let me know. This is my favorite class of motorcycle, I think. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Well, look at you. You've made it to the end of another Yami Noob video. You should consider yourself pretty lucky because I have curated this one right over here for you to continue watching. It's probably just as good as the one you just saw. Unless you hated the one you just saw. I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below about how much you hated it as well too. Or just keep watching this one. Make sure you keep watching Yami Noob. Don't forget to keep watching Yami Noob. That's the most important thing. Keep watching Yami Noob.